So, Reverend Jones, you have been a powerful voice for a Stop Cop City here in Atlanta. Tonight, you made an amazing speech about how Andre Dickens is sort of selling voters out.
So when we talk about a mayor and we talk about what he's doing, Mayor Dickens is not the first one to ignore East Atlanta. So the one time that the city of Atlanta decides to tap into that little pocket of Southeast Atlanta that is also unincorporated DeKalb County, that's right, which has been the excuse for ignoring it all this time. Yep. The one time you want to come over here and you want to do something where I grew up, where my granny still has her house that they will never take. Come on. Come on. The one time you decide to come, you want to cut down 380 out of 381 acres of trees to build what you call an 85-acre public training facility, but that's 85 acres spread out. That's not 85 acres grouped together. That's going to be more than 85 acres of trees that are being destroyed in the midst of a global climate crisis.
Like, he wants to talk about, well, I'll do this, like midnight basketball, I'll do superficial things to help the community, but when it really comes down to doing something that's going to make a change, I'm not going to do it. Why is that the case?
I have no idea why that is the case, but we do see that it is the case. I do remember when Mayor Dickens was running for mayor, and I remember hearing people talk about the things that he has promised. And I also remember about a year ago when I was working as a child care organizer that Mayor Dickens promised to put over $10 million into child care in the city of Atlanta, and a lot of the organizations that I was partnering with were so excited about what was going to be done for child care, but none of them have seen that money. It has not come to fruition, and I have no idea what has happened to that particular initiative. That was the one substantive thing that I heard come from the Dickens administration, but it did not come to fruition. So far, all I see is that he loves to tout being a member of Trees Atlanta and, oh, we're going to plant more trees, as if it erases the fact that he's willing to cut down 381 acres of trees for residents who can't even vote for him. But also, he really, really heavily publicizes his midnight basketball. That is his crown and glory. And when I think about midnight basketball, I wonder what sense that makes when simultaneously the council is passing legislation that implements a curfew for children and then holds their parents accountable when they commit offenses. But instead of providing resources for those families, the city of Atlanta has not said, hey, we are going to stand up this program that will influence positive parenting, that will give resources to families so that they understand what their alternatives are for child care. Because the reality of it is that in a city that has the highest income gap between black and white residents and no affordable housing, many families, adults in those families who are responsible for children, are simply working to make a living and make sure they keep a roof over the heads of their children. Now, if that means that they're working 2 and 3 jobs at night where their children have to be by themselves, that is not the fault of that parent. That's the fault of Andre Dickens and this administration, because there's nothing for them, because they're not giving adequate opportunities for gainful employment to make a living wage to families, because they're not making sure that they resource wraparound services for families. So I don't see anything really positive for the community that Mayor Andre Dickens has done, but he's done a lot of press conferences, a lot of photo ops to make it seem like he's really for the community, but that's just not the case.
Right, and you know, part of why he supports Cop City, I think, is speaking to what you're talking about. There's a fear in the community. We talk about the crime increases. Whether they're true or not doesn't seem to matter, right? It's a fear-driven narrative. If we do this, we'll be safe. But in the reality, most of the crime that happens is due to income inequality, wealth inequality in the community, and he doesn't speak to that at all. But he's not the only city council member that doesn't. There seems to be this. So I guess what I'm getting at is, here you have a bunch of Democrats that basically are like, we are for the people, we're for egalitarian things, we are for, socialist workers' rights, but they don't deliver that. Instead, they're supporting a very corrupt police fascist system, which I've seen in action this week. So how do you square that circle? Oh, it's called the Atlanta way. honestly. And it's been going on for decades, even back to Michael Julian Bond's father on his time in with his time on council. What we see is that you have the black elite
that are falling in line with white supremacist infrastructure that is truly meant to maintain chattel slavery in any form by any means necessary. And what that silent agreement that they have says is that the black elite will make sure that they keep the rest of us black people in line so that the status quo can be maintained and that things will never change, because people are very much inherent and intent on keeping positions and their so-called power, that illusion of power, which is really authority that has been granted by voters.
Right. So it's where sort of class and race intersect, and you can't talk about one without talking about the other, in my opinion. So if he's driven by fear, why isn't he afraid of possibly losing the next election? Or why are these other city council members who are clearly not listening to their constituents, why are they not afraid of losing that election? Because it seems to me most of people here in Atlanta do not support this.
Right. So Andre Dickens is not afraid of losing the next election. I think he knows very clearly that he is going to be a one-term mayor. However, his compliance up to this point, not only with the APF and the corporations that support the APF, but in the Atlanta way, has already guaranteed that when he moves on from this position, he'll do just like Keisha Lance Bottoms. She moved to the White House for a short time. She couldn't survive it because she couldn't hack it. She was not ready. But he'll move into another position and he'll have more money that's coming in still from these corporations. He's already been appointed to Joe Biden's re-election team. So we see the moves in play, right? And for the rest of the council members, they simply don't believe that people will remember. But the thing that I said to someone who interviewed me last week was that we will remember in November. And I don't care if it's this November, the next November, or 10 Novembers down the line, we will remember, because I don't even have to mention the term Cop City. The residents of Atlanta will know what they don't have. They will know that they don't have affordable housing. They will know that they don't have site remediation for lead levels in water. They will know that they don't have adequate child care. They will know that they don't have wraparound services in community. They will know that they don't have infrastructure repairs, and they will know more than anything that they do not have adequate representation on the Atlanta City Council. So we will remember in November, and we will vote you out.
And in fact, in November, you have a referendum, hopefully, fingers crossed, on the ballot if you get your 70,000 signatures. I was at the referendum office yesterday. There was a steady stream of voters coming there to sign that, so there's obviously a lot of support for this. If the referendum passes in November, do you think there's a way the city council will try to still get around it? Like, I feel like they just can't let it go.
Absolutely. They will try everything within their power to make sure that they can uphold their end of the bargain to the Atlanta Police Foundation, because what people don't understand is that the Atlanta Police Foundation has nothing to do with police. It's all about corporations. And the police only come in with protecting the property of those corporations. So now they are essentially privatized. The Atlanta Police Foundation is made up of those same corporations: Home Depot, Delta, Cadence Bank, look, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, those same corporations that were in favor and sponsored SB 202, which is an omnibus voter suppression bill. So when you look at the relationship between the fact that people want to suppress our vote and people want to make sure that we stay enslaved to some degree, you cannot deny the fact that it is inherently racialized capitalism at work.
You know, 100% it is. And I want to speak directly. So twice this week we've been covering protests in which I've seen, shockingly to me, I've seen officers basically say Home Depot wants us to arrest these people, Cadence Bank asked us to do this. And are they not aware of how that sounds? Because policing isn't supposed to be about what a corporation wants you to do. It's supposed to be about applying law universally and in a fair way, and it should not entail stepping on First or Fourth Amendment rights. So this is shocking. As somebody not from Atlanta, I'm shocked by this. Help me understand this.
Oh, I don't think they care at all. I think that the overwhelming response that you'll get is that we're just following orders. But the other thing is that they are very clear as to where their money comes from. They are very clear as to who keeps them employed, who makes sure that they get bonuses. Back in 2020, when the people were overwhelmingly coming out in response to the murder of Rayshard Brooks, officers decided that they wanted to take off work, and they called it the blue flu. They were all calling in. What happened? The APF made sure that officers could get a $500 incentive, a bonus, just to come to work. So they are clear about where their money is coming from and who they truly work for. They know that they work for corporations and not people. They know that they protect property and they don't protect people. They know that the interest that they serve is that of those corporations and their bottom line, not the interest of the public.
Reverend Jones, do you have any final parting words?
I really don't. The only thing that I can say is Cop City will never be built.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.